You are to keep me safe until we reach the inner facility where I can hack into the system network, override the control codes, and make the facility ours. Watch your fire, comrade!
Just Cause 2 is a non-linear sandbox game with repetitive gameplay, disguised as one of the best games of all time. Today I'm gonna deconstruct the experience of completing it entirely, but first I'll give you the premise. You're Rico Rodriguez, a controlled operative for the CIA who specializes in regime change. You're fighting non-Americans with unjust causes, and that is exactly what justifies destabilizing an entire country by arming and working for various groups of rebels in what some would incorrectly describe as horrific acts of terrorism. The government-controlled media fails to properly articulate that these aren't non-conformist acts of vandalism, but on the contrary, heroic acts of justice. It's a matter of perspective. Theirs happens to be utterly flawed. This game is built on the premise that the ends justifies the means.
Going to market later. Usual one. Go there, shop, buy all the things, and I gotta come home, cook it all. Tell you what else is there to do. I'm so fed up. I know I'm having chicken every day. Chicken, go to market, buy chicken. What else can I do? I'm fed up already. I had enough of all this.
The core element of gameplay is shooting and destroying absolutely everything, causing chaos and earning money, but with a grapple hook, which is adequately balanced.
What are you doing? Let me go!
Lets you hang people, attach them to gas canisters, surpass the mortal limitations of terminal velocity, decimate vehicles, and generally keep Panau in line. Not to mention a parachute that is in tandem with the grapple hook, oddly enough, the fastest way to maneuver Panau. You are an individual with an absolutely stunning athleticism. You're a flawless gunman. You have an unwavering will and the stamina of a shonen protagonist. This game does what I wish Doom Eternal had done for me. I feel like a force of nature. I'm not placed into this video game world. I'm a carnal fucking disaster happening to it. Hey, I know we all hate advertisements in the middle of gaming content, so I'll try to keep it short. This is the Ducky vinyl figure, alright? It's out now. You can actually buy these for a limited time only. It's my little duck icon that has now been manifested into physical form. This is my duck persona, if you will. And in my 8 years on YouTube, this is the first thing I've ever sold, and quite possibly the only thing I'll ever sell. As I said, I'll keep it short. I'll talk more about it at the ending of the video. But they're out now. You can buy them. Check it out, alright? But enough interjection of my subjective opinion. Here's my objective experience. At first, the game crashes constantly until I force windowed borderless. Why this isn't the default industry standard is beyond my feeble mind, but I digress. The game opens with a cutscene. Most of them are actually pretty good in this game.
Hey, I'm a criminal, and I'd like to work for your organization.
Unlike the story, which is incoherent nonsense, sporadically littered with supervillain manlets, disputable voice acting,
So, honey, let's go!
and ninjas with Uzis, Just Cause 2 boasts no tutorial, because the first part of the game, and this is nuts, is designed for you to learn while playing so you can progress at a natural pace whilst having fun? Whoa. And that's not even the reason I want a poggers. Stick with me here. The first thing you as the player experience is an overpowered grapple hook, intense dual-wield gunplay, and the dawning realization that the primary objective is quite literally to destroy everything you see. Let me get that poggers in the chat. In fact, let me get it a bit louder for the people in the back. The gameplay's non-linearity is established from the get-go. They tell you to grapple onto the chopper, yet all you have to do is disobey the mission objective, and you'll hear,
You always have to do it your way, huh? Well, get on with the mission then.
Such is the vast majority of missions. You can tackle them in nearly every way you want. Whether you want to abuse the parachute jump, enjoy the lush comfort of a fucking tank, be up close and personal, or distant and deadly. Do you want to rain down hellfire from a chopper or jump car to car wreaking havoc? I'd say stealth is just about the only thing that's not on the table. You see, even if you sneak up on them,
There he is!
the AI will be laser wall hack staring you down through the wall. No matter how hidden you are, they see right through solid matter. And much like in real life, it's actually faster to die than to lose the authorities. Besides, it's fun to die in this game. The ragdoll physics are bar none the best I've ever seen. In no other game do I enjoy getting hit by a rocket launcher or just driving vehicles off of a cliff. God, I fucking love this game.
Hey, mister, spare some change?
It's a breath of fresh air that, at times, shooting civilians will launch them 30 feet into the air. And I really think it diversifies the gameplay a lot that half your deaths are a result of poorly coded skydiving mechanics, launching you at Mach 1 speed into solid matter. To balance it out, I believe it's an intentional game design choice that pulling your parachute on any frame before Rico touches the ground negates 100% of fall damage. This creates a dangerously effective illusion, which fools the player into thinking they won't get locked up in an epileptic seizure instead of transitioning to the skydive animation. The reason I think Just Cause 2 is better than 3 and 4 is partially because I've never played them, but primarily because the bugs are the actual gameplay here. Who in their right mind needs a well-written story and modern computer effects when you can glitch hop into the air 20 times, land on top of a chopper, no scope the pilot, helicopter lands on you and explodes, then you fucking walk it off, cause that's a legitimate way of playing the game. Now, in a situation like this, I have to admit, alright, I'm having a good time here. This is fucking gameplay. Speaking of which, this is how the game works. The primary story progression comes in the form of 7 agency missions. To unlock them, you need to rack up chaos points. To do so effectively, you undertake dirty work from respectively the Reapers, a revolutionary gang of communists. They're all about the land and the people, as long as it's their land and their people. We got the Roaches, Panau's urban mob of capitalists.
Ah, that is good. I hope we can reach a mutually beneficial agreement.
Razak Razman has the best voice lines in the game.
My business in the Selatan archipelago is bleeding from its very anus, just like me.
Their primary revenue stream is manufacturing and exporting illegal drugs, although they do also dabble in prostitution and gun smuggling. Then finally, the Ular Boys, a tribal group of turban-wearing nationalists. Their primary goal is to deport all foreigners. In the PDA entry, it states that they use brainwashing and the distribution of powerful hallucinogenic drugs to initiate the young Ulars. Only once you felt the agony of 100 bullet ants whilst under the effects of mind-altering tree bark can you truly go from a Ular boy to a Ular man. In Panau, you'll come across various settlements, from military bases, cities and airports, to small villages filled with innocent people. Each settlement can be completed from 0 to 100% by sabotaging everything and finding every collectible, which comes in the form of cash, health upgrades, gun parts, and vehicle parts. You use them to buy and upgrade weapons and vehicles from the black market. Every gun in Just Cause 2 feels polished and great to use, except some of them which don't. The trick is to upgrade the explosives, assault rifle, and Uzi. Thank me later when you're destroying a statue with a single demolition charge, one-shotting armored generals from max render distance, and literally beating any boss in the game within seconds. It's a non-linear game, and I highly recommend using the overpowered weapons. As for the vehicles, I forgot they were even there. Only one singular time did I buy the Chevrolet Silverado, and it was with the express intent to immediately drive it off a cliff. Although I barely use the black market to buy vehicles, I do think it's an incredible feature that you can complete a simple escort mission from an attack helicopter.
He was my best. You are my worst, Scorpio.
Or what about the gunfire heavy mission on top of a skyscraper, which was probably designed to be completed from an attack helicopter? Now, I don't know why you would, but if you desire to complete it in a tuk-tuk boom boom, or even more daringly, a regular scooter, then that is your choice to make. although I would personally highly advise against it. Although there are a few repetitive segments, I'd say the mission design at large is extremely varied. In one they have you investigating Hantu Island, where it appears some spooky stuff is at large, but then it turns out that it's actually the Japanese from World War II. They're 100 years old, they're still here, and no one gave them the memo that the war is over. The pensioners' army controls a giant Tesla coil to shoot planes out of the sky. And I'd say this was great game design, if not for the part where you gotta drive the truck without dropping the crates. I shit you not, it took me a fucking hour. In another mission, you get 10 minutes to disarm 3 satellites. And just as you think you're done, it turns out, whoosh, there's a 4th, and it's taking off right now. So you gotta chase it down in a fucking military jet, conveniently. This also gives the player a fantastic opportunity to explore what the Panau nightlife has to offer. Once your stay at the Mile High Club is gratuitous, hack their computers and steal terabytes of stripper porn. Once again, we don't ask any questions. A Manic Warlord requested it, Rico just gets the job done. Now I do have a couple flaws with this game, and I mean that literally. 2 flaws. The first being that you can't collateral people with the sniper rifle. Like, that's just bad game design. My other flaw is that if I wanted to 100% this game, I would first have to find 300 various collectibles that are marked on the map, 2,700 collectibles that are not marked on the map. I'd have to 100% each of the 369 settlements, and sabotage all the water towers, gas stations, propaganda trailers, Panai statues, and various other buildings outside settlements that are not marked on the map. I'd also have to find and assassinate all the different generals, complete every race challenge, and do all the quests that are repetitive and monotonous, just to be stuck at 99.96% because of a bug. Now, I'm a completionist, not a masochist, and I will just have to pray that 30% is enough gamer points to pay my rent. In Just Cause 2, you progress through the mid-game by taking over various strongholds and increasing each faction's influence in the region, till eventually you reach equilibrium with the heroic group of freedom fighters, completely destabilizing the government. I want to give some real credit to the game's immersion. Each mission or settlement you complete will be followed by a Panau radio broadcast, where the state-controlled media covers up the incident.
Rumors that the infamous White Tiger, terrorist and serial killer, has been seen in the capital have been denied by the chief of police. The White Tiger is a total fiction, the chief said today, and when he is captured, he will be executed without mercy. Also, rumors of rioting and chaos in the streets of Panau City today are completely false.
It's intricate detail work like this that makes the game feel fantastic. Although there's repeating elements, no mission feels the same, as each settlement has a unique design and approaching them all is different, even if the objective might be the same. Plus the game is just very fleshed out. I bump into any NPC anywhere in the world 7 times in a row and I'll get 7 different voice lines.
Watch where you're going!
Hey, step back, man.
Oi, Naba! Hey, I'm walking here! Hey, quite long. Stop it!
Hiya, be careful!
Now here's the game of the decade, released 10 years later.
Nordling? Nordling? Gods preserve ye. Gods preserve ye. Gods preserve ye. Gods preserve ye.
I get that I'm sorta nitpicking, but it's all these little things that add up to make the game feel like a passion project. The further you progress, the heavier Baby Panai enforces a military police state, and by the end of it, you're getting chased down by the most unrelenting, disposable workforce on the planet. Instigate one single, minor incident of a rapid, unscheduled disassembly, and suddenly you find yourself pinned down by the unrelenting nature of a fully mobilized military unit. The beautiful thing is that you can with ease chuck out the helicopter pilot, mow down the opposition, and be on your merry way. Because it's the island of Panau playing a survival game against Rico Rodriguez, not the other way around. And don't you forget that. Bottom line, I just ran out of talking points, and the file where I've gone through all the 20 hours of footage keeps crashing, so I'm gonna have to freestyle the rest of this video. Yes. Around the 5th agency mission is where Just Cause 2 goes off the fucking rails. There's nothing more dangerous than a crackpot ideologist. So when facing Zhang Sun, you expect nothing less than the art of war. Yet you're met with a senile wacko in a frenzy, randomly throwing firecrackers. Stereotypically, you'd expect the Russian general to be less calculated. However...
Now comes Hollywood to stake the claim. Too late, Buffalo Bill! Send me my tank! Now!
Alexander Mirkov is nothing short of a strategic mastermind. He commands an APC on top of a skyscraper. He's surrounded by infinitely respawning bodyguards, and unlike the armor on every other vehicle in the game, this one actually protects the person in the minigun turret. Genius. And as the ultimate ace in the hole, the APC is surrounded by proximity mines. Some people are reserved and tactical. I'm primal and aggressive. So for me, this was the hardest fight in the game.
You may have beaten me, but not my homeland! Yeehaw! Here comes freedom, baby!
The last boss in this mission is Masayo Washio. Little is known about him other than his motto, pain is good, death is better. And on the brink of death, he reveals that China, Russia and Japan are here for Panao's secret. Unfortunately, Rico kills him in cold blood right before he spills the beans.
Get back here, Rico! I fixed you up a mean margarita!
We soon later come to find that this great secret that they've been hinting at throughout the story, this great mysterious, what is it? It's oil. It was oil the whole time. And I don't understand how this is played up to be like a huge reveal when, as far as I'm aware, it's the core element of gameplay throughout the entire experience. You've literally been doing nothing but blowing up pipelines, fuel silos, offshore oil rigs, gas stations, cisterns, and oil fields. Rico Rodriguez is a little oblivious to what's going on around him. But then again, the events that transpire in Just Cause 2 would also have me a tad dissociated. We finally corner the dictator, Baby Panay, in his secret military dome, and somehow, at the very moment we catch him, so does the drunk guy from that casino mission, leading to this brilliant cutscene.
And now that Jade is dead, we'll die together.
Imbecile! Grotesque! I command you to stop! Get that grenade away from me! Throw it away!
After the game's villain is seemingly taken out, we're ambushed by a chopper and a small military army who must have been hiding in plain sight whilst watching their leader get assassinated. After escaping the pandemonium, we indulge in some succulent roast pig, after which the player is left with a choice. We have to select one of the 3 rebel groups to assist the US in our cause. Our just cause.
It's time for a little regime change.
It's made abundantly clear that we need to think carefully as the decision can't be undone. After a swift Google search, I find that it doesn't make a difference at all. Not even a little bit. And thus I went to the commies. Not due to any ideological predisposition. Nah, they just happen to be closest. Just Cause 2 visually fools the player into thinking it's a choice-driven story game. But once you get the hang of it, you realize that in that regard, none of your decisions matter. The final map for faction influence will look exactly like this, no matter how you chose to progress. The key is understanding that you're not playing a choice-driven story. You're engaging in choice-driven gameplay. Something ultimately much more impressive. You could go on a monotonous, never-ending spree of destruction like the game developers so blatantly suggest you should. But why would you when you can run into civilians that are crouching for their life, punching them a good 30 feet into the air? Panao innocents are very durable. You can do that like 4 or 5 times before they succumb to gravity. Or even better, you can play dodge bullet against the cops at the same time. It's fresh, exciting, and honestly the best sport I've ever personally come up with. And just when you thought I've deviated entirely from the story, cue the nuclear submarine. Now oddly enough, everything I've shown prior to this is believably canon. However, the final mission is where Just Cause 2 entirely admits that it does not take itself seriously. Inside the nuclear submarine is Baby Panay, who somehow survived the grenade that went off next to his head. He's got a rapid-fire, heat-seeking rocket launcher and a team of deadly, machine gun-wielding ninjas. And that's the part of the mission that makes sense. Stick with me here. I can see how this was designed to be the hardest boss fight. You can't go on the stage because the turrets will rip you a new one. And constantly dodging bursts of 5 heat-seeking missiles whilst dealing with a handful of respawning ninjas would be rather difficult, if not for the fact that you can just stand behind this wall and leisurely take care of the ninjas, get a cheat angle, and kill the final boss with a few grenades. Except, he didn't die, but he did point nuclear missiles towards all the world's superpowers. And Japan. Naturally, we have to stop him from starting World War III. Yet this tiny man somehow manages the unreasonable feat of outrunning and outclimbing Rico Rodriguez, proving that he is indeed a worthy adversary. When he then launches the missiles and accidentally gets dragged off by one of them, the plot thickens and is then immediately diluted when it's revealed that Baby Panai has the physical capacity, endurance, and agility to ride a nuclear missile and simultaneously accurately shoot me by hip firing a submachine gun.
I told you, I am invincible!
Now there's 2 types of people in the world. The ones that see raw, carnal gameplay here, and blind people. Presuming you're in the first category, let me show you something incredible. After we disarm the nukes, defeat Baby Panai, and save whatever was left of this country after going on a homicidal tear, we enter mercenary mode. Drawing from my extensive freeroam sandbox experience, I know that I just ran out of content. I don't intend to find the collectibles, and thus see this as a sign from God to completely obliterate the intended experience with mods.
Get off the street, you maniacs!
Other than a few minor quality of life changes, I've gathered a handful of my absolute favorite mods that elevate this game from greatness to what I actually intended to play from the beginning. With the Island and Chaos mod, the AI goes from stagnant to exciting. The grapple hook is now a tad faster and the range is extended to a few kilometers. I wield the atomic rocket launcher, which fires a nuclear warhead. I can at any point slow down time like an anime character, and instead of one singular, sturdy grapple hook, I now have infinite, unbreakable wires. Combined with an indestructible Mancini Cavallo, I can truly push this game to its limits. By the way, I'll have you know that it took me a very long time to attach the entire NPC spawn cap to my car without getting stuck in something. So imagine what it feels like to shortly thereafter find myself in the ocean at a negligible rate of movement. I felt pretty hopeless until I saw my saving grace, a cargo plane. I suppose what happened next is to be expected. And let me just say, no cap, on Ja, this game runs incomprehensibly well with mods. No matter what I do, I can't get a low frame rate, and I really did fucking try. Before providing a final verdict, here's a series of cinematic shots documenting heroic acts of justice in slow motion, cut together over definitively the best soundtrack that ever came out of the Yakuza game series. From start to finish, Just Cause 2 provides an ultimately satisfying experience. It's a hallmark of non-linear gameplay that will undoubtedly stand the test of time as an innovative passion project from a golden era of video games. However, as a free-roam multiplayer sandbox, it's completely dead, revoking my ability to play Satellite Dish Demolition Derby. And that's not a world I want to live in, so instead I'm just gonna tell my viewers to repopulate the servers, because I have that power. You're welcome. Just Cause 2 is a game that I recommend you all buy with real money, because it's just that cheap. When it comes to dopamine, you actually go dollar on the dime. You make off like a fucking bandit. What other game on the market offers you the destruction of an entire country for $3? I enjoy every aspect. The story, combat, missions, side content. Hell, even the part where I spent 20 minutes looking for the last collectible is fun. This is the only Sandbox game where I've ever enjoyed the race challenges. In fact, my only regret is not playing on a harder difficulty. I give this game 3 ideologically differing rebel groups out of 1 corrupt government, and end the video with no punchline, no setup, and no joke. Only the truth. Throughout my time here on YouTube, I've had several games where I had to come up with a story and a narrative just to make the video interesting. Just Cause 2 speaks for itself. This game is fucking perfect. Now hold up. Wait a minute. Put a little love in it. Rewind for a second. I'm not letting you off the hook that easily. The Ducky vinyl figure's out now. You can buy it now for money. And it's going to be here for a couple weeks, and I'm never going to sell it again. It's just a limited time. We're doing this one time, selling a little ducky plastic figure, okay? It's all you've ever wanted. How could you possibly need anything else in life than a plastic figure of my duck persona? Like, come up with one other reasonable thing you could possibly need in life. I'll keep waiting, okay? One at a time, guys. Here's the bottom line, right? I think it's a pretty fucking cool thing, right? For me personally. It's Sure Sell Beats promoting another mobile game. And it's a cool little physical thing for you to remember me by once I'm gone. And trust me, I will be gone. I've seen the future, and no matter which timeline I head down, my channel won't last, and my good content won't last. And I can prove it. Option A, I say some dumb shit on Twitter or do some dumb shit and get canceled. Boom, done. Option B, my channel just gets deleted off YouTube by YouTube. It's happened before, it will possibly happen again. Option C, now this is the best case scenario, and even here, my content turns to shit. Option C, I succeed, at which point I'm blasted into the mainstream, and then across time, I become psychologically addicted to how hundreds of thousands of random people perceive me, and I grow an emotional connection to a number, and just the validations of hundreds of thousands of random people that I'll never fucking meet in my life, and then across time, I just turn into a degenerate, monotonous, repetitive, boring asshole, and thus I'll end up making monotonous, repetitive, boring content. Even in the best case scenario, it won't last. So what I'm getting at is that even though my great content won't always be here, my ducky vinyl figurine will, okay? You're supporting me directly. I get a marginal sum of the revenue. And yeah, I don't know. I've been here for 8 years. This is my first time selling anything, and I don't know. I'm probably never going to sell anything again. So if you're interested, get them while they're hot. And yeah, hope you guys are doing well, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a nice one.